You'll know when you have a wild woman. She'll practice her craft without boundaries. She is truly autonomous. Her loyalty is only to the family she serves, a midwife who will not allow herself to be held back by a system she didn't create.
This podcast is for the birth keepers who want to grow and change. We are open to learning through self-reflection and supportive community. We are creating this space to explore without judgment. We are remembering we were
Born wild. Hey, hi Molly.
Hi,
I'm
Sophia.
super excited to chat with you today. It's kind of weird actually not being in person with you because we've always been in person.
I know.
And I just wanted to interview you about your experience. And I'm really excited to share this story just because like you and I met in a very unusual way. And
Yeah.
and I haven't like heard a lot about your pregnancy because
Right.
we didn't know each other. So I just wanted to hear a little bit about it, and you can go as far back as you want, like conception if you want, you know, like was this planned, was this a surprise, like what was pregnancy like for you? Was there anything difficult or things you loved, and how the pandemic kind of played into that?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Yeah. So you became pregnant. Go.
Yeah. So I guess I wouldn't say that it wasn't planned because I feel like you're either actively trying not to get pregnant or you're not trying not to get pregnant and then you get pregnant.
Yeah. Like, you know, how babies are made.
Right. So I've been tracking for about 8 years, like religiously. I knew exactly when I ovulated. I was always super careful around that time. And then we started getting a little lazy. We had the talk, we should be careful or we're going to get pregnant. And then we got pregnant and I was hysterical and freaking out because it wasn't planned. And my boyfriend just looked at me and said, "Babe, I don't know why you're upset. Like, we actually knew this was going to happen." And he was like super excited and super positive, and I was still terrified. But his reaction made it better. So that was in November of 2019 that I found out I was pregnant. Or no, December of 2019 I found out I was pregnant. So right before COVID.
Mm-hmm. Right before it got
took
crazy.
over everyone's life.
Yeah.
And I've always worked with kids my whole life. So I always knew I wanted kids. And every one of my friends has kids. I'm like pretty much the last one to get pregnant. There's a few, but most of my friends have kids. All my cousins have kids. So I've been around babies a lot. And you do not know what pregnancy is like until you're pregnant. It doesn't matter how much experience you have with kids. Pregnancy is nothing like what
I mean, I can agree with you on that. Like, I was a student midwife and had been to hundreds of births by the time I became pregnant, and I was still like, oh my God, I had no idea.
Yeah. And I don't want to be negative at all, but I want to be transparent. And I did not love being pregnant.
Me either.
I was sick 24/7, pretty much my entire pregnancy, but I didn't throw up. So there was no like relief from the sickness. And
like lingering nausea.
All day, like sour stomach all day long. I'm a pretty healthy person in the way that I eat, I would say, for the most part. Every once in a while, like I sneak a little fast food, but for the most part, like always, like pretty healthy. And for the first like 3.5 months I was pregnant, I couldn't look at a vegetable or eat meat or any animal product at all. I pretty much ate bagels and cream cheese, pasta, cucumbers, I guess, but cucumbers don't really count. They're like water. And that's all I ate every day.
Such a common thing. People are like, I want to start off my pregnancy really healthy. And then they're like, all I want is like comfort foods and like mac and cheese, you know, like
pasta.
I can keep down. It's like, it's just survival mode at that point. You just have to like get food in you somehow.
Yeah. And then I felt really guilty because I wasn't nourishing my baby appropriately. And I had no idea what I wanted to do about birth. I had like thought about home birth, but for me, home birth it was like not enough medical intervention. Like the hospital felt like too much because I felt like birth is an emergency and the hospital is where you go when you have an emergency. So I didn't want to go to the hospital. And I didn't want to birth at home because I was scared of all the what ifs, even though a lot of my girlfriends have birthed at home and had flawless births. Even my one friend who did end up having to go to the hospital after the home birth, it was like nothing. So I chose to go to a birth center, and which is always a little interesting because I'm like a super planner. And at a birth center, there's like numerous midwives and you meet them all and you never know which one's going to be there when you birth. So that for me was like a little hard. And I knew there were certain things I didn't want to do while I was pregnant. And I didn't want any sort of vaccines or shots or anything. I didn't want to put anything into my body that I felt like wasn't going to be healthy for the baby, regardless of what it might do for me.
Right.
And when I was going to the birth center that I had chosen, they had offered me a flu shot and another vaccine type of shot, maybe a Tdap or something like that. And I told them, I was uninterested. And then they offered it to me again at my next one and at my next one. And so that was kind of like the spiral of me being like, wow, I feel like this pregnancy is like, I'm pregnant, but I'm being like influenced and told what I need to be doing, even though I'm vocalizing this is not what I want. And I just kind of didn't really feel very respected.
Was it pushy in a way, or was it just kind of like, oh, we offer this all the time?
No, it was pushy. It was pushy. Yeah. And then when I actually said, I would like you to stop asking me because I've been very clear what my plan is for my body and my baby. The response I was given was, well, we're going to ask you every time you come.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I left in tears, and it was COVID. So Jeremy didn't get to come to any of those appointments with me. I was going by myself to every appointment. And I grew up with a single parent, and I told myself that's not what I wanted for myself in pregnancy, in parenthood. And I felt like I'm in this super happy, thriving relationship, and I'm going through my pregnancy like a single parent. Like I'm not going to share any of those things.
Yeah. And especially like a first pregnancy, and like who decided that partners were non-essential people? Like besides you and the baby, they're like the most essential person in this experience.
Exactly. And I'm not going to digress into COVID things. I want to, but I just feel like we share saliva every day. So whatever I'm bringing into that room, they are bringing it into. It's no different. So that was really hard for me. And I had some mom friends in my ear keep talking about home birth, but Jeremy was uninterested. For him, he was like, not a chance. What if something happens? All the fears he would list off. So I remember then I went to, all right, once I got into my second trimester, I loved my body, but I still didn't feel good. And I didn't get to share it with anyone, I felt. And it was really, it was depressing.
Because of like the social distancing and all that. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, it was hard. And I was never a strict social distancer. I didn't conjure in large groups, but I still saw my close friends. And I just felt like being someone who always makes everything about everyone else and, sharing all of my friends' time with them and going through those processes, like it was finally my turn and I didn't get any of that. And that was really, really hard because I was feeling like I wasn't getting the same attention or the same just like love from everyone all the time. But then I was feeling guilty that I was feeling like I wanted more attention. So it was just a really hard place to be. It was weird. Yeah. Pregnancy was weird.
Yeah.
And I was uncomfortable and I didn't want to bitch. And I feel like nobody wants to say like, I don't like being pregnant, because then you feel like you're being judged because you're not going to be a good mom because you don't like being pregnant. So
that's one of the reasons I like these things, because it's like a bunch of people are going to listen to this and be like, me too. Like
Yeah.
you and I are not the only women that didn't like being pregnant,
It took,
people are just afraid
yeah.
to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have one friend, Jamie, and I feel like was actually created on this planet to be a mother. Like she is everything that I ever want to be in a mother. And when she told me that she didn't like being pregnant, I was like, I can finally say it out loud. Yeah, and not feel guilty.
Mhm.
And it also made me realize, like, when you asked me to do this, I feel like people don't share the negatives enough. And then you feel like you don't want to share them because you feel isolated or you don't want to be judged. And I think it just needs to be normalized that everyone has their own experience and like you got to share it with other people no matter what it
And
is.
all of it too, like just being real, because like sometimes too people are so willing to share their like horror stories of their births, and so then it makes people who had a positive experience not want to share, because I don't want her to feel bad that she didn't get this beautiful experience. So it's just like everyone has experiences and we should just be like real about them, so we can
Yeah.
all hear different experiences and learn from people. And yeah.
Right. No, I
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
agree.
I remember I was like obviously in love with birth and birth work and everything about it. And I remember saying to people when they were just like over it at the end of their pregnancies and like, oh, just try to enjoy it. You'll miss it when it's gone. Like I remember saying these words. And then after I got pregnant, I was like eating those words, I was just like,
Right.
I will never say that to somebody again because you don't know what it's like to be in their body, And some people
Right.
do have really smooth pregnancies and love it. And I thought I would love it. Mm-mm.
I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it so bad. And there were parts of it I did love. Like, oh my God, I could cry right now thinking the first time I felt him kick.
Oh,
Oh my God. I miss that. That feeling. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
oh, oh, where were you when you felt it?
Right here at my desk at work.
Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
I remember I was like, oh, I'm having this really weird cramping in my lower pelvic region. And I went to my next appointment the next day and I was explaining it. And they were like, that's not cramping. Like,
Oh,
that was movement. No, it was so amazing.
it's so
And
special.
yeah, so I never found out the sex of the baby. Um, like I said, I'm a super planner, and I feel like not knowing the sex of the baby is like the last true surprise you'll ever get in life.
I'm actually
Especially,
surprised because a lot of people, because they're a planner, they have to know.
well, right, which is I go one way or the other. I either have to control every single decision and thing that I do, or I want absolutely nothing planned. Because if I plan like kind of, then I'm like anxious about what I did or didn't plan. So either I want no plan. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Either I want no plan or I want everything planned. And so I felt like I didn't want to know what the sex of the baby was because I didn't want to start planning out like my baby's life until the baby was here. That I felt like that my pregnancy wouldn't be about the present of like being pregnant. It would be about, okay, what happens after the baby comes and like, are they going to play football or are they going to do this or whatever it was going to be. Like, it was going to be just a spiral of like the future. And I really wanted to like not, even though I didn't love being pregnant, I still wanted to stay present
Yeah.
in my pregnancy. That's kind of contradictory.
No, I understand it. I understand you.
Yeah. I was also a zombie my entire pregnancy. I probably slept for like 3 months straight of my entire time. And I remember I'm very fortunate. My boyfriend owns a company that I work at. And so that is probably the only reason why I didn't have a complete mental breakdown while being pregnant, because I had flexibility and I didn't have to be at work at a certain time. And so sometimes I would sleep until noon because I was up all night long. Raiden was a mover from the second he started moving. And so he would, grab a tissue really fast.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so he was super active.
Right. And I remember one night I actually fell asleep before Jeremy, which doesn't happen, like I said, and he woke me up and was like, you have an alien inside of you. What do you mean? He's like, you were asleep and he was moving and I could see him like pushing on your stomach. And he was like, it was like an out of body experience. Like, he's like you were asleep. That shouldn't be happening. I'm like, no, that's normal. That's why I don't sleep at night, babe, because he does that all night long.
You're like, this is normal. Why did you wake me?
Yeah, like now I'm awake and now I'm not going back to sleep. Now you're not going to sleep. Yeah, he moved a lot, and I'm trying to think of like, it's weird. I feel like I like think back and I don't like remember my whole pregnancy. Like I do, but I don't. And maybe that's like me trying to block it out a little bit because I didn't love it, but I didn't get like physically uncomfortable like with the size of my body until like closer to the end. Like my stomach grew really, really fast. Like you could tell I was pregnant at 3 months. Like without a doubt, I was pregnant, which was weird because I always thought it was going to take longer. So I showed really early. And I had a lot of really, really bad hip stuff. So I went to I am gonna shamelessly put a glass of that. Yeah, plug. I started going to Acorn in Petaluma, and I'm obsessed with Dr. Jen.
Me too.
Yeah. Oh, she's so great. And she like just made me feel so much better because I was in constant pain. I was also sitting a lot with work, so that was, I'm sure, part of it. But I don't know. It's just so many things about pregnancy that I just didn't love.
Yeah. Honestly, if we like lived in our little villages where you went through pregnancies with all the women in your village, we would see these things on a daily basis and see their hardships. And so it would, I think, become normalized, a little bit. Yeah.
So, I don't want to like be negative and put down the place that I had originally chosen to birth, because I do know other people that birthed there that loved it, but I just did not love my experience. There was one midwife that I fell in love with. And so the way it worked at the birth center that I was going to is they have you they try to make you go to appointments with all the different midwives. That way you at least meet everyone, so it's not like a total shock if you get one or the other.
Right.
And I had met all of them, and somehow, I don't know if it was like the day that worked best for me for my schedule and the time, I had the same midwife for probably 5 appointments straight, and she was fantastic. She explained everything in detail and made me feel so good about everything and never asked about vaccines or any shots or anything. And so I like was manifesting in my own mind, like she was going to be there when I was going into labor. And she actually had said to me, like, we'll see, maybe I'll just like move my on-call around to be there.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I remember thinking that I wasn't going to make it to my due date, which I'm sure a lot of women feel that way, because you go to the place where you're like, I can't, like, there's nowhere else. Where's it going to go? I can't go. I can't get any bigger. It's not physically possible. And I got to that point where I'm like, I don't know where it's going to go. Like, this baby has got to come out. And I never wished that he came early. That was never like a thought that I had. I was always like comfortable and okay. I took enough classes in college to know that like going to full term is like for a reason. It's like the development of the baby and how everything grows and on, right? Like I knew that coming early meant there was something that maybe hadn't been developed as it should. But I just had this feeling, and I kept saying like, the baby's going to come on August 16th. Like the baby is coming on August 16th.
And when were you due?
August 21st.
Okay.
I was like, he's not going to come like super early, but he's coming early. I really feel it. And I remember everyone like started guessing. And my friend Jamie, the one who I said was super mom, she texted me the same day that I had told Jeremy and said he's coming on the 16th. And she said, your baby's coming on the 16th, and it's going to be a boy, and he's going to be 8 pounds and 10 ounces.
Very
I was
specific.
like, huh?
Very specific. Everyone's placing
right. Very specific, right? And I was like, okay, that's weird because that's the exact date that I said. And I remember I felt like I was pregnant with a boy for like the very beginning of my pregnancy. And then I had an overwhelming feeling it was a girl. For sure it was a girl. And I think I never really wanted it to be a girl because I didn't have a present mom growing up. And so I have no idea what a mother and daughter relationship looks like. And so I'm like, nope, can't be a girl. Can't happen. No girls. But then I like came to peace with the fact that I was pregnant with a girl for sure. And I was like planning all the things I was going to do with my daughter, which is ironic.
Right.
So
the whole reason you didn't find out was to avoid that.
Was to avoid that. And then there I was doing it, right? Like stopping myself from buying anything that was girl related because I don't want to jinx it. But I feel like I'm like going off on a tangent right now.
Oh no, this is great. Yeah. You were talking about like you were sure you were going to go early on the 16th and
So there was one thing that I knew when I was having a baby shower. I was going to have an in-person shower and I was going to invite every friend that I wanted to be there from whatever walk of life that I had. And I was 100% comfortable with not one person saying they could come or with everyone showing up. And that might have been like an irresponsible thing to do based on the climate, but I just felt like I was not willing to sacrifice that. Like that was the one day that was going to be about me and I was going to make sure it happened. And I think I ended up inviting like 50 people.
And how many showed?
21.
Nice.
Yeah. And you know, anyone who wanted to wear a mask wore a mask. Anyone who didn't. And it was like super comfortable and we did it outside and, you know, there was an option for being plenty socially distanced if you wanted to or not. And that for me was a moment where I was like, wow, like I am so loved. It is COVID times and I have 21 people who showed up for the shower, even some of my friends' moms who hadn't seen anyone during all of it because of their age and their fears around COVID. And that was really special.
I just got chills up my
It was amazing. I mean, I'm really lucky to have a lot of very supportive and beautiful and smart and funny girlfriends. And they're all,
I agree with that just based on your experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all also extremely talented in their own way. And I couldn't have imagined in the best scenario possible, let alone what like the climate that we were in, how beautiful my shower was. I mean, it was so great. So that was really special. Yeah, it was really, really, really special. And where our house is under construction, so my entire pregnancy, I lived in a construction zone, but I had for like a year before that too, so it was normal. But Jeremy was like, well, I'm not going to leave during your shower. Like, I'm not going to be at your shower, but I'm going to be inside working on the house. Like, I'm not going to go anywhere. And just the way that my friends were like, I don't know. I didn't want a co-ed shower. I knew that, but like the way that I still like made him come be like a little part of it for like a little bit was like so sweet. And I don't know, it was just a really special day. So that.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. I don't like any photos of myself from the shower, but I loved everything else about it.
Experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I started getting closer, I remember the midwives at each appointment would tell me that I needed to write a birth plan. And I don't know why I was so resistant to writing a birth plan because like I said, I am a planner, but like I wouldn't do it. And then I come to the next appointment and they'd say, do you have your birth plan? I'm like, no birth plan. And then finally I realized it was the fear and anxiety about not having my birth go exactly how I wanted to, that I couldn't even put it on paper because then this pregnancy that was not very enjoyable would end in a way that like, this is not what I wanted. And I couldn't stomach that. So me and Jeremy talked about it and I said, I'm actually not going to write one because if it doesn't go the way I want it, I'm going to freak out. And then labor is going to be horrible. And so what I'll do is I have like a few firm things that I know I want. I want delayed cord cutting. I want this ridiculous spa music that's got no string instruments in it, only wind instruments. Because it makes me feel calm. And I want dim lights because I don't really like bright lights, and I want like lavender or mint in the diffuser. Peppermint, not spearmint. Other than that, like, I know I'm very specific. This is my point. If I would have really written one out, it would have gotten out of control. So that was all I said. I mean, other than that, like, I didn't want to think about what if I went to the hospital, because I felt like then I was going to end up at the hospital. So I just didn't put anything into it. And except for, I don't want any meds. I was very, very firm that I didn't want that. I don't even really know why. It's not even like I had done so much research about what it did to the baby or anything like that. I just knew I didn't want it. I think I watched this video when I was younger of this woman giving birth, like in like the middle of like the Sahara Desert or something. Like she just like was in like a squatting pea position and just like birthed her own baby. And I'm like, okay, women have been giving birth for like thousands of years without anything. Like, nothing against anyone that wants meds, but I can do it. And I want to prove to myself like that I can do it. And so that's what I'm going to do. So that was really my only like hospital thing, is like, just make sure that I don't get anything. And once again, so I had two friends that I knew that I was going to have one or the other, and I didn't want to make a choice. And I told them that, like, I don't know which one of you it's going to be the night of.
So I was going to ask, like, your partner couldn't come with you to appointments, but what was the birth situation? Like, could you have people join you?
Okay, right. So there came a point, like, I want to say in like June, where he got to start coming to my appointments.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it was like when everything in the county kind of reopened, like outdoor dining and all those things reopened. That's when they started letting him come to my appointments. So like, he didn't get to come to my, what's that first like really big appointment that you go to? The anatomy scan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that day was horrible. They wouldn't let him come, and I was hysterical. And one of my girlfriends just said, listen, just FaceTime him. Like, FaceTime him from the appointment, then you can see him. And I remember I was like, oh, put me at ease. And I walked into the appointment, and mind you, it wasn't at the birth center I had chosen. It's like an outsourced. It was at Sutter, and I have no issue calling that out because it was a bigger hospital.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, not like a small thing, but and they were like, I pulled my phone out and I was like dialing him, so excited to get it up. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm going to FaceTime my boyfriend so he can like at least see it. And she's like, no.
They wouldn't let you FaceTime?
And I said, I'm sorry, what? What do you mean no? And she's like, it's against Sutter policy.
What?
And I like started tearing up.
Oh my God.
I was like, I'm sorry, I can't have him on the phone. And she's like, no, because what if it's bad news? I'm like, no, literally, what if it's bad news and I want him on the phone?
Right. He's the one person I want.
The one person. And she said, well, it's like liability or something if you have it recorded. I was like, well, I'm not trying to record it, but regardless, it's my pregnancy, it's my baby, and it's my good or bad news to share with whoever I want. So I started crying, and she said, why are you crying? I was like, oh, God, I hate you. So immediately I hated every second of that experience until she started going over everything with the baby. And I will tell you, I have realized that I will give up bedside manner for somebody who is like completely knowledgeable in what they're talking about, because she was so thorough with what she was doing during the anatomy. Like, I asked 1 million questions. What's that? What's that? What is that color? Mm-hmm. And she explained everything in such detail, like took the time. Like, she obviously had zero people skills, but was like very smart. And in that moment, I was just okay with it. Like, I didn't need you to be my friend. I wanted you to tell me that my baby was typically developing like inside. Like, that's all I wanted to know. And that's what those appointments I felt like are for. And so it ended up being okay because she was so thorough with everything. It still sucked to cry.
Yeah.
Be told, why are you crying? But so there was my like second not great experience, right? With like some sort of like hospital or medical professional like space.
There should be a rule that if anyone on your, birth team makes you cry, then they're just out.
I totally agree. And I just kept thinking to myself, okay, what about women whose husbands are on a union job and they get stuck going super far away from home, or they're in the military and they can't be there, or whatever it is, like even without COVID, there's plenty of reasons why people cannot be at appointments like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there needs to be an overhaul of that rule, but
Yeah.
kind of my past now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, for future and for anyone listening, I know a sonographer who will come and do home visits so that the whole family.
oh wow, that's awesome. That is good.
If I had known you in your pregnancy,
I know, so weird that we didn't. So after that, I got more.
So I was asking, like, what were they telling you? Like, could you bring people with you to birth? Could you have
right.
a friend? And
right. So what they first it was only one person, like I was saying, and then around June,
one
when
person meaning like your partner, probably.
Yeah. Well, they say it could be anyone.
Yeah.
You know, and
but not like a person and him.
Right. And like I told him, like, babe, I love you, but I don't know if you'll be the one that's gonna be there. Because
it's sad to even think you'd have to choose.
It is. However, I don't have any family that lives in Sonoma County, even though I was born and raised here. Everyone's moved away except for me. And so any like blood family, I don't have, like, my mom doesn't live here or my sister or any of that. So that wasn't like a worry that I'd have to like choose one of them. Or that they wouldn't have been able to be here anyways, just based on everything that was going on. And so I love my partner and he's super supportive, but he has a queasy stomach and he's super easy to like be grossed out by stuff. And not that birth is gross, but for some people who've never been, he never held a baby or really been around kids or anything like that. He even said, like, I don't know if I'm the one that you want to be there because I don't know if I can handle it. And I'm like, I'm going to need someone that's like going to be there. Mm-hmm. So we had honestly talked about, like, when it came time to, like, babe, you might not be the one. And he was like completely fine with that. Mm-hmm. But then they changed it to 2. So I picked 2 friends and told them, like, the night I go into labor, I'm going to call one of you and that's just going to be how it is. And so we prepared for that to be the situation. And as it got closer, I started getting nervous. I'm like, are they going to get their feelings hurt if I choose one over the other? And it was like this whole other process for me because I'm a people pleaser and hate letting anyone down. Mm-hmm. So even though it was like my birth and my experience, I'm like worried about other people's feelings. Yeah. So can you pause it for a second? I have a really runny nose.
No worries.
So I was worried about which, who I was going to choose or what was going to happen. And I don't know, that never really went away. Luckily I ended up having to choose, but, as I got closer to my due date, well, I had to take these Zoom like birthing classes at the birth center that I chose. They're like requirement for like insurance purposes or something like that. And I mean, Zoom is not like really enjoyable for anyone, I don't think. And so to have to like be in a Zoom birth class where everyone's trying to ask questions at one time and the screen's like, there's like 50 women on the screen. It's like going from one to the other. And it's like, oh, it was just so bizarre. And I never like paid attention to really listen to any of it because I was so checked out. And I had those murder chickens at my house. I'm sure you remember. Murder roosters at my house were like, I was always watching my back for a chicken. It was just an experience, that whole thing. And I didn't pay attention enough. And then I started getting really anxious as I got closer to my due date because I'm like, I don't actually know what I'm looking for. Like, I don't know what the signs are. And we really didn't talk about it in any of my appointments. We just talked about it in those classes and I didn't pay attention. So I wasn't really sure. And I remember I think it was like the first week of August, I had an appointment and I got to the point in my pregnancy where they made me get on the scale every time I went to an appointment. And that was hard for me. I did not want that. I gained a significant amount of weight during my pregnancy, over 60 pounds. Mm-hmm. And that was, I don't know. You start off your appointment by looking at a scale and being like, oh, there I go again, back up. So I remember I got on the scale and I would like turn around so I don't have to look at it. And I went into the room and I'm like all upset. And then I started asking questions and they're like, well, it was in your Zoom class. Like, you're right, it was. And I clearly didn't pay attention. So can you tell me again? And so they were telling me, and I remember thinking, I really hope that this midwife is not on call when I go into labor because she's not very friendly. I don't feel connected to her. And I really I don't even want her in the room. And so I left that appointment and I don't remember the date of that. And I remember being at work the next week and I felt really crampy and weird all week. And it hurt pretty bad, but I didn't really have Braxton Hicks, because I don't think I did during my pregnancy. So I didn't really know what was going on. And I remember telling Jeremy, I'm like, oh, I'm like really, really crampy. And he was like, babe, I think it's happening. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's got to hurt worse than this. And it was a Friday and I couldn't even sit down at work all day. I was like in so much pain. It was August 14th. And I was like, God, man, it really hurts. So I got home from work, or I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave work early because I want to wash my hair and take a really good shower. Cause I don't know. I feel like something could be happening. I don't know when the next time I'll be able to wash my hair is. And I already only wash my hair twice a week. So to do it now. So I remember I went home and I took a shower and I washed my hair. And then I got out of the shower and I'm like, no, I think I'm in labor. And I called Jamie and she was like, all right, download this. Oh no, I called my friend Megan and she was like, okay, download this app. And it's like a contraction tracker. So you don't have to worry about if you track it from the beginning or the end, you just hit the button every time a contraction starts and you hit the button again when it's over. And I don't remember exactly. You're gonna have to correct me here because now it's gone. As long as they're every 3 minutes or less. What is it supposed to be?
Yeah, well, once you get to every 4 minutes, then usually it tells you to go to your place of birth.
Yeah, so it was contractions lasting longer than a minute, happening every 3 minutes for an hour. So I started tracking.
Call it the 411 or something.
Thank you. Yeah.
511. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at the birth center I was going to, they called it 311.
311.
And from the second I started tracking at 8:30, it was already at 311. And I'm like, there is no way. That is, unless my contractions have been so bad all day, I didn't realize I'm in active labor right now. And this is bizarre. So I'm just going to clear it and do it again. And I remember by 10 o'clock, I'm like, no, I'm in labor. Mm-hmm. So I called the midwife on call and she was like, hi, well, I'm actually at the hospital right now at another birth. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I'm a people pleaser. So I'm immediately feeling guilty that I'm interrupting somebody else's experience from my own. And I just feel like it was inappropriate. She never should have told me that. She just should have said, yep, we'll be there. Come meet us.
Because now it's in your head too that someone had to transfer and
exactly that. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'll call someone else to come meet you. And I'm like, God, here we go. I'm feeling guilty that I'm inconveniencing someone's day with my birth. So I go and we get there. Well, first of all, from 8 to 10:30, the level or the pace at which my contractions escalated in painfulness was out of control. Mm-hmm. It felt like strong period cramps to I couldn't even sit down in the car driving to the birth center. I was on my hands and knees. It hurt so bad in the back seat. Mm-hmm. So we get to the birth center and we get out and we go inside and the midwife was the midwife that I was praying would not be at my birth. Oh, no. That's who was on call. And
or not on call because that was the backup midwife, right?
No. So that's the thing. So she ended up having the backup person go to the hospital and she came and met me.
Okay.
What a gift. So we're in the room and she's talking to us and I didn't ask for anything. All I wanted to know was okay, what do I do now? Mm-hmm. And so she went to do an exam to check how dilated I was. And I didn't know any different. I didn't know how invasive that was or non-invasive or how typical that was. I just thought,
first vaginal exam, they didn't do any in pregnancy or?
No, they did, but I meant like while I was
Having
pregnant or
contractions.
having contractions.
Yeah. Okay.
And I always thought, I feel like they didn't even talk about this in any of those birthing classes I had to take.
Mm-hmm.
Your water breaks, and then your contractions get worse, and then you get to a certain centimeter dilated, and then you have the baby. Well, my water definitely had not broken. I knew that. Like, there was nothing happening down there. But no one ever explained, like, I could be in labor for hours before my water broke.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is it possible that I was 10 months pregnant and no one had ever explained that to me, even with all these classes? So I'm like, not sure what's going on. I'm so confused. I packed my birth bag as we were going to the hospital because I didn't make a birth plan or I mean, sorry, the hospital, up to the birth center. So yeah, I didn't make a birth plan or pack a birth bag. So I'm like putting baby clothes and snacks and all these things in the bag. And she does the exam and she's like, I'm really sorry, but you're only 1 centimeter dilated. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to get through this. Like, deflation immediately. Like, I'm 1 centimeter dilated and I'm in this much pain. I didn't say that out loud though. I just thought it to myself because I didn't want to sound weak or I didn't want to feel weak. Like I was exposing myself. And I remember Jeremy was super concerned about me and the state that I was in. And he said, okay, what are we going to do? And I remember she said, well, there's a few interventions that we could do. And so the first option, though, we'd have to go to the hospital. And I thought to myself, all I heard her say was hospital. I was like kind of blacked out. I'm like, I'm sorry, wait, I have to go to the hospital? And she's like, well, we can go to the hospital and we can give you a shot of morphine. And I was like, mind blown. I get that you've only seen me once during my pregnancy, but you are on call and I'm here now. And have you not read anything about like my desires? Like everything in my chart over and over again, every conversation I've had with every midwife is like no medical intervention in that sort of way. Like no pain meds. No, I don't want that. I didn't ask for it. And that's a tier 1 intervention. The first thing you're offering me is like morphine. Like, isn't that what they give people to like help them pass away? Like comfortably, like not what you give a birth. I mean, a life coming into the world. It was mind blowing. And I was like, absolutely not. Do not give that to me. I don't want it. And so
shocking as like a first recommendation.
Yeah. So, and it would be different. Like if I would have said, I need something, like this is not okay, then like I would have understood it a little bit, but I didn't ask for anything. And so then the next thing she offered was like, kind of like an antihistamine that she said would make me tired. I can't remember what it was.
Benadryl?
It wasn't Benadryl. It might have been whatever the active ingredient in Benadryl is.
Okay.
And she's like, I can give this to you and you could take one now and one later. And it'll help you sleep a little bit so that you can get through it. Because she said, at this point, I'm extremely worried that you're laboring this hard and you're only 1 centimeter dilated. I'm extremely worried like that you're not going to be able to make it. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like my worst fear is coming true right now. Like, I'm not going to make it and I'm going to end up at the hospital.
And you have a professional who sees this over and over and over again. And if she's already given up on you.
Like fully had given up. Oh my God, it was horrible. So I'm bummed. And she's like, okay, so I took it. I took the Benadryl or whatever it was. And I'm like thinking, cool, I took the Benadryl. So I'm going to go home and just sleep it off. No. So we went home and my contractions progressed and continued to get so severe. There was no way I was sleeping. So now I'm like drugged up on some antihistamine sedative. So I'm like exhausted, but there's no way I could sleep through it. And I know who my partner is. When he doesn't sleep, he is not very helpful in life. So I knew if he didn't sleep, then when I really needed him, like when it was time, he wasn't going to be able to be present for me.
Yeah.
So I waited till I thought he was asleep, and then I rolled myself out of bed. So we had an air bed set up downstairs because it was you know, when you're 10 months pregnant and you have no AC and it's like 100 degrees upstairs in your bedroom and no windows. We couldn't sleep up there. So we've been sleeping downstairs in the air bed. And so I rolled out of bed and I took myself into the bathroom, and I've lived in that house for 2 years. And I had never taken a bath in the bathtub. It's tiny. And I don't know, I was just weird about getting in the bathtub. So I got in the bathtub by myself. And I had been texting with a few of my girlfriends that night, 4 of them actually, 3 of them who all have done home births. And
did one of them go to the birth center with you guys initially?
No,
you hadn't called anyone yet.
I hadn't called anyone. Well, they both knew that I was going, but they didn't. I didn't call them to come yet because.
Right.
So all of them have like really young children, and 2 of them were still breastfeeding, or no, well, 2 of the 4 girls that ended up coming were breastfeeding, and so I didn't want to like have anyone come too early.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm laboring in the tub, and I remember it's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm like, I can't do it. So I like got myself out of the tub, I dried myself off, I got dressed, I woke Jeremy up, and I was like, take me to get the morphine. Like, I can't do this. I'm in so much pain, I can't even imagine. And he's like, we're getting dressed, and he's like, whatever you want. So we're getting dressed, we're walking out to the truck, and we're almost to the truck, and he stops me and he says, babe, this is not what you wanted. This is not what you wanted for yourself, and this is not what you wanted for the baby. And in that moment, I'm like, holy shit, you are right. Like, I am being blinded by the pain, and I'm like completely changing what I want in my core for myself and the baby. And I don't want this. And that's something that Jamie had said to me during like while I was pregnant before I went into labor. She looked at me in the eyes and said, I need to know right now, when you're in your right mind, what you really want if we end up at the hospital. If you want meds, if you end up getting to the hospital, tell me that now. And if you don't, tell me that now. And whatever you tell me right now, she's like, that is what I'm going to make you do when we get there, because this is your actual true desire, not you being come by whatever feelings you're having in the moment. And she's like that. So I need you to be really clear with me right now, because I'm not going to let you do it if you tell me no now. And I thought of that, and I thought of what he said, and I'm like, wow, he's right. Like, this is not what I want. So we went back inside, and I called the birth center again, and I told them what was going on. And they said, it really hasn't been long enough. I don't think you should come back. You can if you want to, and 2 things will happen. Either you'll come back and we'll check you again, which I knew I did not want to get checked again, because when they checked me the first time, that pain getting my cervix checked was like, oh my God, they're like pushing on your stomach while they have their hand up there, and like they don't warn you what they're going to do. It was nothing that I wanted to experience again. So she's like, you can stay in the tub. Mind you, I didn't really know like what I was looking for at that point, because I had already met all the check boxes that I needed to.
You're like, I should already be there, and that didn't work.
Right. So I'm like, no, because if I go there again and you send me home, like, I'm just going to quit. I'm not going to have the baby. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I like kind of would fall asleep and kind of wake up. And I remember at one point it was just starting to get light outside, and Jeremy came in the bathroom and like couldn't believe that he had slept through me laboring all night in the tub by myself. And he said, do you want your friends to come over? And I said, who? And he said, started naming 4 of my friends. I said, I want them all. Like, I want every one of them here right now. And he said, go, we need reinforcements, because I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so one by one, 4 of my girlfriends showed up, and my friend Megan said, listen, I don't think that you should go back there. Like, Jeremy told me about the morphine. Jeremy told me everything that's happened, and it doesn't sound like supportive or just anything that you wanted in an environment that you should be in. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, my birth photographer and my doula, Sophia, I can call her and see if maybe she's available, because she's also a midwife. And I was like, call her. And well, then I remember from the tub, I was like, how much does it cost?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, like, this is also one of Jeremy's concerns, right? About home birth, like paying for it out of pocket rather than using the insurance that you spend all your money on all year, right? And I remember she said how much it cost, and I yelled, "Pay the money! I'll pay the money! Just do it!" And she came back in and said, "Sophia's coming, and she's bringing another midwife with her." And I like felt so relieved knowing that I didn't have to get out of the tub, but I was still a little nervous. And so I had 4 of my girlfriends there and Jeremy, and then you showed up, and we had never met. And I felt super comfortable right when you got there. I don't really remember where I was. I like after like telling them to have you come, I feel like it kind of becomes a blur. Like part of me like let go. Like it was okay that I didn't need to worry about everything that was going to happen at that point. And so it is a little blurry how things happened.
Yeah.
And it was nothing that I ever pictured happening.
Yeah.
I just did not imagine a home birth with a midwife
Megan
that I had never met.
called me on the way to your house because you had rallied the troops, and she was like, she kind of told me a little bit, and she's like, I'm going to go support her. And I just wanted any advice from a doula, from a midwife, like how can I best support her? And so I was just giving her little tips. And then I had said, I'm just home all day with my family. Just if she would like some, support until she figures out her plan, whether she's going to the hospital, birth center, or whatever, like, let me know. I can come listen to the baby or whatever she needs, until she figures it out. And then the next phone call I got was, how much for a home birth or a test or something? I was like, oh, okay, wait, because I had never met you or anything. And I sat with it for a minute, and I was like, okay, but I know Megan, and this is a dear friend of hers. And I was like, okay, yeah, I think I could do this. Like, because I had never just been like called like that to a birth. Yeah. And so I called the midwife who usually assists me, and I said, so would you be down to go to a birth for somebody we've never met, like right now? And she was like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I'm not crazy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No. And I feel like that was kind of everyone's response. It was crazy. Like I remember listening because me and my friends schemed and we're like, okay, who's going to talk to Jeremy? He's not going to be happy about this, right? We're like Megan, it's got to be Megan because she's kind of a hard ass, but she can she'll say it in an important way. And so I remember him saying like, whatever she wants, like that's what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. And that's like when I feel like I kind of like blacked out for a little while because I'm like, okay, this is all going to be okay. I have like 4 of the most amazing women ever here supporting me. And like everything's going to be okay. I remember then you came and then the other midwife came. I remember like, then you guys got me a birth tub and I'm like laboring on my airbed and Morgan walks in and I'm like, that's funny. Here I am, no pants on, just spread eagle.
She was delivering the tub.
She was delivering the tub. And I'm like, and we went to high school together. You played sports with my sister. This is so weird. But it was just like everything it needed to be in my weird under construction house, like the birth tub being set up in my son's, well, I didn't know them, but like my future son's room.
Do you remember like what Megan did in labor for you? Like do you have a memory of that or?
So I'm on the airbed and I'm like, is it a vacuum? Is a vacuum running right now? And I'm like looking around my house and my friend Megan is vacuuming my stairs. She's Windexing the window. She's like, we cannot have a baby coming in here like this. My house was a disaster. She is cleaning every inch of my whole house.
Seriously.
And I'm not sure how many hours into labor when everyone decided they were hungry and wanted to order delivery. And I'm on all 4s on the airbed. And I don't remember, maybe you can help me out, if my head was facing the slider or my behind was facing the slider. But I hear someone say, oh, the delivery's here. And I turn around and there's the Mary's Pizza Man.
Yeah. Your head was here and your bottom was here and there was a door over here, but they came to this one.
Okay, good. See, that's what I told Jeremy. I
held a blanket up, to kind of give you like a curtain. And I was like, we could just be glad they didn't come to that door.
Yeah, I knew that. Jeremy was like, no, babe, they came to the side where you were exposed. I'm like, no, they didn't. No matter what side they came to, it was awkward. He definitely saw what was happening in there and it was weird. Oh my God. Yeah. And then the first birth tub ripped because the water was too hot.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I checked the water. Oh, because you got in. You got 1 foot in and you went, that is scalding. And
yeah.
I hadn't checked it. Somebody else was dealing with the tub and I checked it and it's at 120 degrees.
Oh my
I
God,
was
I was like
like,
gonna cook
oh my
myself.
God, I'm so sorry you got in this. So we were figuring out how to cool it off and everything. But you actually used that tub for a little while before
I
we
did.
realized it was
I did.
yeah.
I used it and I used it for long enough for it to rip the skin off my knees. So I that's one thing I remember is the bottom of the birth tub, like the feeling of it on my knees, because it's the only position I wanted to be in was on my hands and knees or like leaning over the edge of the tub. Being on my back for me was like the worst. Like I tried it a few different times, but I did not enjoy it. So then I remember at one point, Megan's husband came and brought her kids because she needed to feed her daughter. And I remember thinking, nobody leave Michael outside, who's 3, unattended because the murder roosters are out there and they're going to get him. So I remember between contractions, I'm like, somebody needs to not let him be out there. And 2 minutes later, Megan walks in and she's like, so Mark said he might have injured one of your roosters. They attacked Michael from behind. And I'm like, I knew that was going to happen. This is horrible. And so at this point, it's like, I don't know, Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean, I guess, yeah, I
Because
got there in the
you
day.
came
I got there
Saturday
like
morning.
noonish or something, maybe
Oh,
10
okay.
a.m. Maybe it was 10 a.m. I'd have to look back at the records, but
Yeah.
it was, early Saturday morning.
Yeah. And so then I remember it was like dark the first night that I was there. And then I remember it was like dark the second night. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like, not, oh my God, this is still happening, but like, oh my God, this is still happening because even though my contractions, like they did hurt, like very bad, like my environment was okay. So I didn't really, I don't know. It just
Yeah.
like,
And because I didn't see you, when I came, your support team was there already, your girls and all that. And so I didn't see you before. When I walked in and saw you, I could tell you were still in early labor. But I don't know what you looked like before. But that just goes to show that sometimes feeling unsupported can make it feel way bigger than it needs to be because you don't
right,
feel supported.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like that was a lot of it. It's because like I was just completely alone.
Mhm.
And that was like, oh, so weird. I like just didn't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I left out the best part. So when they told me to come back in, or I could just keep laboring at home, they said they called me back in a few hours. They were switching over the on-call. So that was at 4 a.m. on Saturday.
Mhm.
And then I never heard from them again.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, I remember you saying to me, I haven't heard from them. Should I call
yeah,
them?
should we call them and let them know I'm
I was
not coming?
I was like, you can just, they'll call you, you can just wait and respond later. You don't need to make that be a task you need to think about. Just let it go. They're going to call. You'll either get the message later or Jeremy can
Yeah.
contact them or,
Yeah, and then I put it out of my mind because like you had like given me the okay, like I didn't need to worry about it, like they would call me.
Mhm.
So I remember then so the first birth tub ripped, and then you were like, "Do you want another one?" And I'm like, "Sure do," because there was nothing that felt better than being in that warm water and having like the pressure of like Thor's hammer on my hips at the same time.
And to paint a picture for anyone listening too, a lot of birth tubs, they have inflatable rings. So it was the top ring, the seam ripped or something. So the top ring was starting to deflate. So
Right.
it wasn't like this tub
Burst,
water.
right.
So we bailed and everything. And so it didn't get a mess anywhere. And we just cleaned it up and got a new tub. It's amazing that we were able to find 2 birth tubs last minute.
Yeah, it was crazy. Then the next birth tub came and I remember I was so relieved to get in it and I got in it and I was in there for a while and I remember you or the other midwife were upstairs sleeping in our bedroom or something because we had been there for I don't know forever.
I do.
And you were upstairs sleeping.
Well, at some point Saturday, before night happened, I do remember you saying something to me when you were in the tub. I can't remember which tub. like, I feel like I might need to push. Like, can I push? Is this okay? And I just kind of told you, like, listen to your body and notice the difference between wanting to push or like, I can't not push, because sometimes our brain can be like wanting to because there's so much pressure down there. But like, if it really isn't your body kicking in, I remember you toyed with pushing. You were pushing for a little
So,
bit.
yeah, so that was on Sunday. That was on Sunday morning. And this
Wasn't
is
he
why
born Sunday morning?
he was, but that was Sunday morning. It was, so that was after, okay. So you were sleeping upstairs, and I remember the other midwife was like, okay, you need to change an environment. Like, you're stagnant at this point. And usually I don't want to tell people what to do, but I feel like there needs to be some kind of a change because what we're doing is like, it's not progressing it. Not that it's a bad thing. Like, let's just try something different. I'm like, okay. And she's like, let's go outside. And I'm like, okay. And I live on a 10-acre ranch. Like, there's lots of like, there's no neighbors. There's all the freedom you want. So I remember I was only wearing a sports bra and I just like put a blanket around myself or something and brought a pillow, and I was outside leaning over the picnic table. And at this point, it's like 3 or 4 in the morning on Sunday, August 16th.
Okay.
And I'm leaning over the picnic table, and all of a sudden I hear and see the largest crash of lightning you can ever see across the entire sky. And for anyone who doesn't remember, August 16th is the night that California lit on fire.
Yeah, the lightning complex fire.
Yeah, that was actually my son coming into the world. He's a baby X-Men. He was bringing the lightning. The lightning was striking across the sky, and I was like, what? Like, this is unreal. And I remember at this point, my friend Jessica was like, I feel like we're on like a peyote trip right now. Like, it's like dim in the house, and it's like a tropical, like thunder and lightning rainstorm. It's hot outside, like the air is blowing.
Windy.
Yeah, so windy. Like, everyone's exhausted, but I'm not really sure what's going on. No one's really sleeping, but it's still like enjoyable. So we were outside for a little longer. And then I was like, okay, I thought to myself that I wanted to push. And so that's when I got in the tub. And that's when I think you and the other midwife switched. And I asked you, like, can I push? I think I asked you if I could push. That's when you said, well, do you want to, or do you actually feel like you need to? Because there is a difference and you will know. And I was like, okay, sure, I will. So I like pushed a little. I was like, no, not what am I doing? That is not okay. And I would say like maybe an hour or two later, I got this like overwhelming feeling that I had to push. It wasn't a want. It was like my body needed me to. And I pushed through like one contraction, then through the next one, and I felt the pop, and that was when my water broke. And I kept, even in that moment, I thought, Jesus, my water just broke. I've been in labor for like 34 hours. And it wasn't until that moment. And I remember you like looked in the water or something and said like you saw like some tissue or something. And you're like, yeah, that was your water breaking. And
Yeah,
I don't remember how many hours.
Brain was kind of coming out. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember how many hours I pushed for. 3 or 4. 3.
I could actually look it up. I'm gonna pause real quick. Okay, yeah. So we confirmed it was 3 hours you pushed for.
Yeah. So, and the crazy part is like I felt like my labor was long. Like I don't remember every detail of it, but I remember it kind of like just kept going. Like, it was dark and then it was light and then it was dark and then it started getting light again. But once I started pushing, it didn't feel like it was a long time, and it hurt, but it wasn't, I don't even know how to explain it though. It wasn't like, contractions hurt worse than like the contraction pushing part of it. Like, once I started pushing, it was almost relieving, even though it was like, a little painful. It was like relieving to push.
And I remember a way too where you know where you're at now in labor.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a thing we should mention too, because I didn't check you once that whole experience. And there was multiple times where you guys were like, are you sure you don't need to check me? You didn't necessarily like ask me to, but you were like just assuming I was going to be checking you. And
oh my God, I feel like I left that whole part out. I totally forgot. My boyfriend almost having a meltdown. I remember at one point it was a few hours before I started pushing. And I remember looking at him and seeing the look on his face, and I was like, he is not okay. Like, he is worried about me and what's going on right now, and he doesn't think this is okay. And even though I felt like it was a really long time that it was happening, I knew it was okay because you weren't doing anything. As bad as that might sound, like, I knew if something wasn't okay, you would have been like in there doing stuff more. But like, other than like every 30 minutes, you checking my blood pressure and checking the baby's heartbeat, which would have been happening at the hospital too.
Yeah, we check baby every 30 minutes and we check all your vitals every 4 hours. And then if there's any weird thing, then we check more often. But there was no weird thing.
Right. But because you were doing that, for me, that was enough to know I was okay. Like I said, and yeah, it felt like okay. But I remember seeing his face and knowing that he wasn't okay. And then he said, okay, I'm going to go outside. And I remember like taking care of others. So sitting up, and I was like, somebody needs to go check on him. Like, he's not okay. And you went out there. I don't know if you want to share what you guys talked about out there, but
I had kind of like given him some time. I wanted him to like, because he left to be alone. So I gave him a little bit. And then I went out there and was just kind of like, hey, nice to meet you. Like, we haven't really had a chance to like get to know each other and like answer any questions you might have. We've just been like with you the whole time,
right,
supporting you. And this is not your plan, so we just kind of like chatted, and I basically compared your experience to running a marathon and our experience as like being your support people on the sidelines. And if this is something you had planned for 9-10 months and you wanted people cheering you on, and we're standing there going like, you look exhausted, and like giving you all these reasons to quit at the moment you need us to like keep going, that wouldn't be supportive. And that like when you finally cross the finish line and know that you did it, like just how like life changing that is. And yeah, he was like, quiet for a while. He asked some questions and then he was quiet, and he was like, this is going to change who she is as a person. And like, I could tell when he said that, I was like, okay, he's good. Like, he gets this. Yeah.
You said something else to me you left out, is you said, there's going to come a point where she feels like she cannot go any further, and then she's going to need to go a little further. Mm-hmm. And he said it reminded him of the monks when he did a solar job at a Buddhist monastery up in, I think, Cazadero or something, and how the monks go out like complete isolation, and like they go out until they're like completely broken down and feel like they can't go any further, and then they have to go a little further, and then they're done. And I remember you came back in the room and you were just you, and you were like, well, your boyfriend just compared you to Buddha. And I was like, okay, it's gonna be okay. Yes, I remember that. And you sent him to bed. You told him, you can't take care of her if you can't take care of yourself. So you sent him to bed. Mm-hmm. And then we went back to the whole pushing thing. And when I felt like I needed to push, I remember one of my girlfriends kept telling me like, stop screaming. And that was like the first time I like heard your voice intervene in birth. And you were like, stop telling her what to do. Like, let her just do what she needs to do.
Yeah. I think you had a friend who was, when you were pushing, was telling you, breathe through it, and I could tell that you were actively, without instruction, holding your breath and pushing, like your body was just doing that. And so I just kind of reminded everyone in the room, like, to let you listen to your body and not to do any coaching and just use encouraging words. Like, you can do this. You're doing great.
Right. And when you said that, that was like really relieving for me, because I remember I was actually getting really pissed off at her. I was like, I'm trying my best right now. Like, I'm trying not to scream. I know if I tense up and scream, I'm going to tear. Like, I already know that. And like, you reminding me that in this moment is not helpful. Mm-hmm. Like, and so when
I remember you saying like, I'm trying not to, and I don't know how. And I was like, yeah, let's just be quiet and let her listen to her body. Her body will just do it.
And I think at that point we're listening to Tracy Chapman, and I was like feeling it.
And I actually woke up that night, because normally our rule is if birth's not about to happen around midnight, then my assistant and I, we start spelling each other, and we do every couple hours, we switch off, so somebody's always well rested. But I didn't even sleep my full 2 hours because the wind was so strong that night. It blew off the screen in your bedroom.
In my bedroom.
And I was like, and it was not thunder and lightning when I went to bed. So I woke up and I was like, what is happening outside? The car alarms were going off because of the booms.
It was insane.
Just purple lightning across the sky. It was
so cool.
magical. Yeah. I was like, wow, the world is roaring this baby in with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a big reason, I rarely ever check moms anyways, but specifically, I really didn't want to check you because of one, your experience being checked and feeling totally defeated. And also that we hadn't had a lot of time to communicate prenatally and talk about things. And I just felt like I don't want to give her any news that could be discouraging, and unless there's unless she's about to make a decision, and that could be really good information to decide if she's going to the hospital or not. What's the point? It doesn't tell us when the baby's coming. Let's just keep going. Yeah.
And then I remember I was pushing and I started feeling this pressure on my pelvis. I don't even know is that the bottom of your pelvis? The opening?
Your perineum.
Yeah, and I started feeling pressure, and I'm like, okay, I think the baby's, and I remember just feeling up there, and I'm like, it felt like it possibly could have been hair, but it was a weird texture. And I remember saying I think I feel his head, I think I feel a head. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know what to do. And then I felt this horrible burning as I'm pushing. And it wasn't the same. It was stretchy burning. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's happening. And I remember being like, oh my God, his head's out. What do I do? And you said, well, what do you want to do? And I just reached down there and just pulled him out. And it was so cool. It was not what I ever would have imagined. It was crazy. And I remember just holding him and looking around the room. And it was everything that I never knew that I needed for myself for birth. It was 4 of my best friends. It was Jeremy, who was super emotional, and he's a real hard, tough guy. So that is not a thing. And then there's you and the other midwife, but in not the foreground. You guys were in the background, just there, but not there. It was just, it was pretty cool.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a little extra special too. Just the whole storyline and not knowing you or how it's all going to go. And yeah, as soon as it happened and he started bawling, I remember I just started bawling. It was
it was crazy. And I remember I was okay that everyone was in there, but I remember thinking about for him, okay. Because the whole time I feel I just was constantly worried about all of you guys too, making sure everyone was okay. I remember someone was cooking something in the kitchen and I was it's in the 4th drawer down.
Yeah.
Everyone's why is she doing that? And I'm oh yeah, the toilet paper's over there. And I remember thinking after Regan came out that Jeremy is going to want a moment, but he's not going to ask for it. And I just need to say something because no one else is going to even think about it. Everyone's just in the moment. And so I was can we get a minute? Mm-hmm. And I was oh yeah, duh. Everyone left and it was just us in there. And it was I couldn't even believe that I had done that. I had this perfect, actually perfect, newborns come out a little wrinkly and his skin was he did not look like a newborn baby. He had these blue eyes and a full head of dark hair. Yeah. And he was tan. Oh my God, he was perfect. Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, it was special.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember.
Remember the birth of your placenta?
Oh, do I?
The saga.
The saga. So I remember I got out of the birth tub and he was still connected to me. Mm-hmm. and I got dried off, and we went and laid on the airbed. And then you were like, "Who's gonna cut the cord?" And I was like, "Jeremy's gonna cut it." And he was like, "Oh, well, God, like this is weird." He didn't know, and I was like, "You're doing it." And I remember he cut the cord, and then I think I held Raiden for a little bit. I don't really remember that. And then I remember you being like, "Okay, well, we're gonna have to birth the placenta." And I remember like once like kind of some of the adrenaline had worn away, I'm like, I could not push. Like I couldn't get it out. And so I remember you said there's two options at that point. Um, is that you could have given me Pitocin because there was no fear of, anything happening to the baby or anything like that. But you told me that I would probably have contractions for a few more hours. And I was like, no, like that is not an option for me. Like,
Pitocin probably would have been the last thing I would have
that, yeah,
for you.
It was. Yeah. And well, first you wanted me to try to pee.
I'm trying to see how long it was too, if you don't remember.
I feel like it was a while. I could be wrong.
Yeah, because usually like I don't even mention the placenta for the first like 45 minutes, hour.
Yeah, no, it was a while. Like
then, so it was 4 hours and 40 minutes. So
yeah, so I remember that had been a while and you weren't trying to push me, but then you said, these like there were only like a few worries about not getting it out, and one of mine was like bacteria or something that could have happened.
Like we were, you could have basically blood filling in your uterus.
Thank you. That's what it was. Yeah, and we wouldn't have known.
Checking on that and making sure you're like, uterus wasn't rising and, as a sign of getting filled with blood. And I mean, the biggest thing is just you want to be done. Like you have all these contractions because they're trying to push the placenta out and you just like want to cuddle in bed with your baby, but you're like, got a job to do. And
right.
Yeah. So we talked about like homeopathy and herbs and
and I think you did give me something to drink. Some like some kind of a tincture, and that didn't really work. And then I couldn't pee, and then we still waited, and you kept checking my stomach and my uterus, and it wasn't happening. And then you gave me the two options that I could either do a catheter and drain my bladder and see if that was just blocking it.
In the tub, you went into the shower or the tub?
I went into my shower, yeah, and I like had the water running on me, and I was trying to like get it out, and I couldn't. So then you offered me a catheter to see if you wanted to drain my bladder.
Yeah, we were wondering if because you hadn't peed in a long time too.
A long time.
Maybe a really full bladder was holding it up.
Yeah, because then I remember being like, well, can I just pull it out? And you were like, well, like, yes and no. Like, it's like a yank, because it could have negative implications.
If it's detached and just sitting there, then yes. But if it's attached to your uterus, you don't want to like pull
right. And I remember I like pulled a tiny bit on the cord and I could tell like it wasn't going to come out. So I chose the catheter because I did not want to have contractions for more time. I didn't want a catheter either, but I felt like, a little less invasive. So I remember we did the catheter and my bladder drained, I swear, for like a solid 2 minutes. And I was like pushing on my stomach and it was like, you're like, nope, you're still peeing. Yeah. And it was like a significant amount of your urine that was blocking. And then I remember as soon as that was done, it was like right out.
Yeah, it was holding it up.
Yeah, and so then that was super relieving. And I remember getting back in bed, and then like over time, like my girlfriend's like, I remember Jeremy telling them like back in the beginning and said, okay, it's fine if we do this at home, but you girls need to know like you can't just leave the second it's over because I have no idea what I'm doing, and so you guys are gonna have to stay for a little bit. And so Jamie and Megan left because they were both still breastfeeding, had never been away from their kids overnight until my birth. And I remember Sierra and Jessica were still there. And then Jessica stayed because she doesn't have kids. So she stayed and was there. And I remember like looking up and I'm like, is Sophia like cleaning up my house right now? And you were like this little like fairy going around, just, like tidying everything back up. And I'm like, God,
it's actually one of my favorite parts. Like, I love the, like, putting everything back together. And so the only way a baby was born is because there's a baby.
Right. And that's what it was. Like, I remember, like, I was exhausted, but there was no way I was sleeping. All I wanted to do was stare at my baby, my perfect baby. Oh, my God. He was so perfect. That's not just me. I feel like I have lots of people have told me that. Yeah. And then I remember thinking, wait, there's always like a next day appointment. I don't have to leave my house to have the baby get checked. Like you were like, okay, well, I'm going to be back tomorrow. And I was like, yes. And then you came back the next day, and then you came back at like day 3. And then, oh my God, you came back so many times. And it was like, and then that's what I would look forward to, is like you coming back and checking on us and like hanging out. Yeah. I loved my birth so much.
I loved your birth.
Every minute of not being comfortable during pregnancy and not loving being pregnant was like completely washed away by like the most perfect birth experience I ever could have imagined, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love my birth.
Yeah, me too. What about like extended postpartum? Was there anything that, stood out for you, or that was hard, or how was breastfeeding? How was like your body healing? How did all that go?
Yeah, postpartum is also something that people do not talk enough about and do not share enough about, like how hard it is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, no matter how hard labor could ever be, like the weeks after that are so much harder.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like I just felt like my body wasn't mine. Like I was just like this walking milk machine for my child, and like I had no identity anymore. And that was really, really hard because like I loved him and I wanted to nourish him, and I felt super fortunate that I am like a actual milk cow and produce so much breast milk still 5 months later, but it's kind of shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel really lucky and fortunate for that. But at the same time, it was like daunting. Like my milk coming in, my God, my boobs hurt so bad. And Raiden just wanted to nurse 24/7. And I just felt it was rough.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sleep. And he spit up like crazy all the time. And I remember, I think it wasn't until maybe like 6 weeks old that I like shared with you like what was going on for him, like all of the symptoms. I like listed them all off, and you were like, that's like every symptom of baby reflux possible. And so with like he didn't sleep. Like my child did not sleep. Team no nap. He was awake all day. He was awake all night.
There's that active baby in the womb you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really, really, really tough because everyone's there for you when you very first have a baby, and then everyone disappears. And like it's like forgotten about. And that's something I think is really important for anyone to know who is going to support a mom, is like stagger the support. Like everyone being there in the beginning. I remember I was like overwhelmed by my meal train. I had so much food and I was wasting it and feeding it to my dog, and I felt horrible because I couldn't eat it all fast enough. And then after 9 days, there was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is awful.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're on a trip and then all of a sudden then you crash.
Yeah. It's one reason that I've extended my postpartum for like the first year postpartum, because sometimes those visits are all people are getting, especially during COVID right now.
I count down the days till my next visit with you. I remember when I found out that after you came every month and you weren't coming in until 6, I was like, Raiden, hurry up and grow faster. Like, we're 6 months, Sophia needs to come back. Like, missing 2 months in a row is too much. Like, we look forward to those visits. So, and something that I didn't do, but I wish that I would have, was have a postpartum doula, and I will definitely do that with my next baby. I'm sure like that wasn't shared with me because I didn't have you for prenatal care, and so it wasn't obviously anything that was talked about.
We have a whole thing where we have a postpartum plan we fill out, where we talk about postpartum and consider all the options. And if you are going to hire someone, like interview now and know who it would be. And, because we spend so much time planning for one moment, the birth, which could be a day or a couple days, but then postpartum, you're in it for the rest of your life.
Right. And I feel like for me, like week 7 was like the peak, and then it started to like get better. Like for like the first 7 weeks, he escalated. Like, he was great for 3 days, and then like it escalated more and more and more, and like longer bouts of crying and less time of sleep, and like the harder it was for me. And then like at 7 weeks, it kind of plateaued, and then like it's only gotten better. Like at this point, I also started taking him to Acorn and taking him to the chiropractor, and immediately that changed. Like, he had like a little twist in his shoulder and his spine, and not like a birth defect sort of twist, but like just like coming through a birth canal kind of twist. And after I was taking him there twice a week in the beginning, and he started sleeping, and it was just amazing. So I would say overall, like postpartum care, like I could have done a better job of like being more educated on it and having more help. But I also feel like I needed to ask for it more, and I'm not someone who's really willing to ask for help. Like, you'd come over and be like, "Oh, do you need anything?" And I'd be like, "Nope." And then all of a sudden you'd show up with like here's a tray of snacks, and here's a water, and here's this. Like, this is what you need to be doing. And I'm like, "Okay, yes, Sophia, I know you're right." I don't do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I feel like now I'm at 5 months, and it feels like I'm so far removed from birth. But God, I love being a mom. I didn't love being pregnant, but that's all worth it.
Yeah. I know we actually just changed our package that we offer because we're recognizing the lack of postpartum support. So we now have included a postpartum doula for the first week, and
Wow.
meal trays that she brings, like snack trays, platters, like kind of what I prepare for you, but like really pretty and beautiful.
Right.
And then also an in-home massage. And the whole point of that is that we want that, because all those things can be seen as luxury, but we want it to be seen as just bare bones. Like, no, that's just like the bare minimum to like get through those first couple weeks, like have somebody loving on your body, and have somebody there who can support you with, the baby and food, and then if you want to, it makes it easier too to like continue that, like to have the doula come more often, when versus having to like reach out and interview. It just feels like so much work, but now you already have a relationship with someone, you can just continue it longer if it's working great.
I think that is the most amazing thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I think like being comfortable, like being able to take care of I remember thinking one day, someone's like, "You need to take care of yourself. Like, you need to take a shower." And I'm like, "Oh," except bathing regularly isn't self-care. That's like a normal hygiene function that everyone should get to do. So like my break, so I got to go take a shower by myself. Like, what a crock of shit.
When people are like, "Oh, I got to go shopping alone," it's like, okay, but that isn't self-care. Like,
that's not self-care. Like, I'm sorry, but pooping on the toilet without having the baby strapped to the front of me is not self-care. Like, that's a normal function of life that you should get without anyone telling you to do it.
Yeah.
I think that postpartum care is like the most important thing that I think out of everything, even more than like birth and what I didn't know, that postpartum care is important.
Critical. Yeah. Most other countries, they'll, have a year's worth of maternity pay and like postpartum support included,
Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your
You're welcome.
I love hearing it from your perspective, because I have it in my head.
Yeah. I know. I love hearing my birth story coming from other people that were at my birth. I feel like it's so much cooler.
You're like, it's less fuzzy, but then again, like I had this memory of my memory of when you started like toying with the idea of pushing and then actually pushing. I felt like they were so much farther spaced than they were. Yeah. So everybody's experience is a little blurred over time.
And the reality is, it probably wasn't when you think it was, and it probably also wasn't when I think it
was. That's true.
Probably somewhere in the middle.
In my notes, though, I probably have. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks everybody for listening. You can find us at Born Wild Podcast on Instagram. For inquiries or feedback, you can email us at bornwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me, Emma Ray, on Instagram at Emma Ray, REA. Sophia at sophiabirth.com.
And me, Leah, at Bay Area Home Birth.
We would really appreciate it if you would rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us reach more people. And as always, stay wild.